This lecture we will start discussing about the generation of voltage in different machines. So far we have seen what is the nature of air gap magnetic fields in different machines. Now we should see with that type of magnetic field in the air gap what type of voltages are generated in different windings in the machines. Now the first thing we take up a typical synchronous machine, that is voltage generation in a synchronous machine. You all know that synchronous machine will have three-phase stator windings A dash. So stator will have three-phase windings, in this case A dash, BB dash and CC dash. So they are three-phase balanced windings having the same number of turns. We can assume they produce sinusoidal type of MMF, etc. Then the rotor has the field winding or the F winding. So the rotor carries the field winding, where the field current goes inside and comes out, and it produces a flux like this, right. So you expect the flux to go like this and the other way around. When the rotor is excited by DC through slip rings, it produces a flux. Now let us assume the stator is just three-phase windings and not connected to an external source, means it does not carry any current. So we have three windings. So you would expect that as the rotor rotates at omega electrical radians per second, it will link up different windings at different instants of time, and the flux linking each of the winding will naturally change with time as the rotor is rotating. I mean, this is a very simple concept you may be aware of. Okay. But we can draw the same figure in a different way, saying that this is the field winding F, this is A axis, B axis, C axis, and you will expect as it rotates, there is a time where this is in line with A axis, and that instant you will expect that A axis will have maximum flux linkage, and there will be a time where this F axis will align with B axis. That is the time where B winding will have the maximum flux linkage, and the maximum flux that is linking will be nothing but the flux per pole. What is the maximum that it can give is the total flux per pole. You will see whatever is the flux which will be over a pole pitch, now that is the flux per pole, and that will link the stator winding when the two windings are aligned, when this axis is aligned with the corresponding stator axis. So sometime A will have maximum flux linkage, sometime B will have maximum flux linkage, sometimes C will have maximum flux linkage, and you would naturally expect that flux linkage will be varying with time, with a maximum value at some instant, zero value at some other instant, and negative maximum at some other instant. So you can expect the flux linkage to vary sinusoidally with time. When the flux linkage varies sinusoidally in time, since you know the voltage induced by Faraday's law is the rate of change of flux linkage, that also would be varying sinusoidally with time. So from this basic qualitative explanation, we can see that voltage induced in each of the coils would be varying sinusoidally with time. So sinusoidal voltages are induced, or AC voltages are induced in these three windings, but those three voltages will not be in phase. They will be out of phase by 120 degrees because the windings are displaced in space by 120 degrees. So by this logic, we can see that three-phase voltages are induced in the stator windings by just rotating one field winding at a fixed speed omega radians per second electrical. Okay. Now the same thing we will reiterate like this. So, when F is excited with DC, a flux density distribution. So, at that time there is a B distribution in the air gap, we know, assumed to be sinusoidal, centered on F axis. So, where will the B distribution be? It will be centered on the its own axis. At any instant of time, B will be B maximum on the axis of the field winding, that is created in the air gap. That means, if I go back to that first figure, now B will be maximum here, that is at its own axis, and B would be 0 here, that is at the interpolar axis, and 0 here, and B would be minus maximum here. So, here minus B max. So, if you freeze the picture, at this point in time B variation would be sinusoidal distributed from 0, maximum 0, minus maximum 0 as you traverse through the air gap. So, this is the physical picture of the air gap flux density distribution. That is what we have mentioned this. That is, when the F winding is excited with DC, a flux density distribution centered on F axis is created in the air gap. Okay. Next, so we assume sinusoidal variation of that B, from 0 to B max it goes sinusoidal, B max to 0 sinusoidal, and so on. So, we can assume that B wave will be sinusoidal in space, okay, with B max here and minus B max here. So, that theta, if you say some angle with reference to its own axis, maybe, or I will say alpha, right, varying from 0, supposing you measure as we did in the last picture, sorry. So, if you start measuring from here the alpha, so it goes on having sinusoidal like this at this frozen position of the field. Okay. So, we assume that if this can be a sinusoidal, of course, you can measure, sometimes you can measure from the pole axis. This is the pole axis, this is the interpolar axis. Okay. Now, next what we get is, so we assume, now if I, so we can also write B equal to B max cos alpha, if I say, sorry, in this case, I measure alpha, this alpha is 0, okay. This will be minus 90 degrees and this will be plus 90 degrees, okay. This is 180 degrees. So, if I show the B variation like this, we can say B is equal to B max cos alpha, right. Is it clear? So, B variation with alpha is there at this point in time, this point. So, we write B equal to B max cos alpha. Now, what is this B max? We have already identified as the peak flux density, which is always along the F axis. B max is the peak flux density always along the F axis, okay. And this alpha, what we hear is the angle from F axis in the air gap, angle measured from the F axis, okay. So, we have our starting point is this, that air gap flux like this, okay. Now, we would like to know what is the flux per pole. Next, B is varying in space, we would like to know the flux per pole. Now, maximum flux links A, B, C windings when they align with F winding. This is what we have already seen. Maximum flux that links the respective windings when they are aligned. And what is that maximum flux? That maximum flux is nothing but the flux per pole phi max. So it is that maximum flux which is nothing but flux per pole, which we call it as phi max. And what is that flux per pole? And flux per pole is nothing but you can say integrate from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 that is, if you go back to that field pole picture, let's see back. Okay, now the flux per pole will be, when you are measuring alpha, this will be minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Now what this is the flux per pole, because the same flux return through the south pole. So our concern is whatever flux that is emanating in this area, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, okay, of B max cos alpha, that is the whatever the flux into radius into length into d alpha. So we are integrating that. It is the B at any point, so we are only trying to say that at any point alpha, so we have the dB, that is nothing but B d alpha, right, into the small strip is R into L, I mean R, actually it is B L R d alpha. That will be the small strip of flux that will be in a small area, but you want to integrate over minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. What we are trying to say is, we take a small strip radially at this point, find out the flux in the strip and integrate that from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 to get the total flux over a pole. Okay, this is the physical explanation of the statement. Now we also know that this is nothing but B average into pole area. The total flux per pole is also the average flux density over the pole into the area of the pole, B average into pole area, and B average is also equal to 2 by pi into B max into area of the pole is pi d L by P, where d is the diameter, L is the length and P is the number of poles. Okay, this will simplify to twice B max dl by P. So that will be the phi max. So we now know what is the flux per pole, which depends upon the B max, that is maximum flux density. D, L and P are fixed parameters of the machine, diameter, length and poles, right. So you now know what is the flux per pole, and you know that only depends upon B max. On what B max depends? B max depends upon the current that you are feeding to the field coil. More current you feed, B max will be more, flux will be more. So you will have a relation between the flux per pole and the current in the field coil. Okay. So now we know what is the flux per pole. Now how much flux that links? What is the flux linkage? We are interested how much it links the respective windings. Okay. That is, maximum flux linkage of a stator phase will be, when they are aligned, that will be its number of turns NSE, number of series turns, into the phi max. So when they are aligned, that is what the maximum flux linkage will be, this, right. And at any other rotor position theta, if the rotor is some other position not theta equal to 0, theta is also equal to omega t when you are rotating at omega radians per second, because you are rotating the rotor. Now the flux linkage of the A winding will be that maximum flux linkage, you can say, call it as lambda max into cos omega t, because as it rotates, when omega t is 90 degrees, no flux links, omega t is 180 minus lambda max will be there. And similarly for B phase, this is for A phase, B phase will be same lambda max cos omega t minus 2 pi by 3, and for C phase lambda max cos omega t plus 2 pi by 3. So this will be the 3 flux linkages. at any instant of time. That means at any instant of time 3 coils will not be linking the same flux, right. Now, if you take this A phase, the waveform will be like this. We know that this is the B max with reference to alpha, as it varies. Alpha is 0, B max. This is a space variation. Now, this is flux linkage variation, and at omega, this will be with reference to omega t or theta. At omega t at time t equal to 0, assuming that A axis and F axis are aligned at time t equal to 0, it will have maximum flux linkage, right. Again I have to use the same thing. That means what we are assuming is at time t equal to 0, this has moved to this A axis, they are aligned, and A axis is now getting maximum flux linkage, that is the flux per pole. Okay. Now, that is varying, and that flux linkage will become 0 at 90 degrees, or omega t is 90 degrees minus lambda max and this. And this will be n into n is the number of turns in the A phase, n into phi max. So, you will have lambda varying with time as, so lambda you can write it as lambda max cos omega t. What will be the voltage induced? E is equal to d lambda by dt, isn't it, by Faraday's law. Flux linkage, change of flux linkage, which will be nothing but minus omega lambda max into sin omega t. We find that the E wave is a sine wave, but a negative sine wave, okay, because we have taken lambda max. So, at omega t is equal to 0, when flux linkage is maximum, voltage is 0. When flux linkage is 0, voltage is maximum, and when flux linkage is again minus maximum, it is 0. So, there will be a phase shift of 90 degrees between the voltage waveform and the flux linkage waveform. Okay. So, this is the E wave. You know, E wave is also sinusoidal at the same period, okay, and with a value varying from minus omega lambda max to plus omega lambda max. Okay. If you have a 4-pole machine, this is 4-pole. Same thing we can say, it will be the angle will be electrical and mechanical. So, it will be B max will go through 2 cycles. When mechanical angle is 2 pi, electrical angle becomes 4 pi, right. So, you can have any number of poles, even number, to produce the AC voltage. Okay. So, in that case, your lambda max, it will go through 2 cycles. As you rotate one mechanical revolution, the 4-pole winding will goes through 2 cycle, and E will go through again 2 cycle. For this will be, if you say this is 2 pi mechanical, which will be 4 pi electrical, right. So, you will notice that as you increase the number of poles, the cycles will increase, right. So, the frequency would increase. Okay. Now, we will see what is the induced voltage. Induced voltage therefore is in A phase is E is equal to d lambda by dt is minus omega lambda max sin omega t, that we have already seen, minus omega lambda max. Now, this is a AC voltage, this is a AC voltage. What is its maximum value? E max is omega lambda max, that we have already seen, that the, okay, we have seen that this value is lambda max and phi max, okay, and the voltage will be omega lambda max. Maximum voltage omega lambda max. Okay, and RMS value of that will be omega lambda max by root 2. Because when they have maximum value, it RMS value that divided by root 2. It's sinusoidal waveform. Okay, or lambda max is the series turns NSE, number of turns per phase, omega NSE phi max. NSE is the series turns per phase. That means turns connected in series in each phase, omega n. So we get an expression for the RMS value of the voltage like this. Next is what is the generated frequency. We have already seen frequency will depend upon how much speed you rotate and how many poles are there, and obviously frequency is nothing but omega by 2 pi hertz. You know, its omega is the radians per second, omega by 2 pi hertz, and that omega is nothing but p by 2 omega mechanical. This is electrical. This omega is electrical radians per second. So if you, because your speed is externally what you measure is mechanical speed, so it is omega mechanical into p by 2 divided by 2 pi, right? That is p by 2 omega mechanical is 2 pi into speed by 60, 2 pi n by 60, where ns is the speed. Ns is the speed, what we call synchronous speed in revolutions per minute, RPM. That is, if you simplify this expression, it will lead to this synchronous speed into number of poles divided by 120. Therefore, you will easily see that frequency depends upon the speed of rotation, and frequency also depends upon number of poles. More number of poles, higher the frequency, more speed, higher the frequency. Okay. Now this is, so we have seen what is the voltage, what is the frequency. Voltage is 2 pi by root 2 f into NSE phi max, and 2 pi by root 2, because this is nothing but 4.44. It is a standard expression, 4.44 f NSE into phi max. So the induced voltage RMS value for a synchronous generator, this how much, this is the voltage per phase, would depend upon the frequency, would depend upon number of turns you put into the stator per phase, and you would depend upon the maximum flux or the flux per pole, and you know maximum flux or flux per pole can also be controlled by controlling the field winding current. Okay. So this is so you must know physically what factors contribute to the generated voltage in a synchronous machine per phase. Okay. Now this is for each phase, that's what happens. But for other phases also you expect the same frequency and same voltage, because it is balanced 3-phase windings. Okay. Okay. Now voltage in 3 phases, we will have EA will be root 2 of ERMS into sin omega t. EB will be, of course we have taken minus because they are all we have started with the minus, that is EB is minus root 2 E sin omega t minus 2 pi by 3, EC is minus root 2 E sin omega t plus 2 pi by 3. That's the same thing, because lambda A, lambda B, lambda C are flux are time displaced by 120 degrees. So we have 3-phase voltages. So these are balanced 3-phase voltages, phase shifted by 2 pi by 3 radians. This will be time shifted. Okay. So we have, looks trivial, but the fundamentals must be clear, that this is how we produce 3-phase voltages in synchronous generators, because all over the world it is these synchronous generators which are, by this method of voltage generation, is producing power generation and making this available to the consumers. Okay. So the 3-phase voltages we generally show instantaneously like this. So if you have EA like this, then EB will be like this and EC will be like this, phase shifted by 120 degrees in time, and with a maximum value being the same E max, and we also show it by a phasor diagram EA, EB, EC. So now this is how we have got a 3-phase voltage generated, and so to sum up what we have learned, in a 3-phase synchronous generator, by rotating the field winding and exciting it, we produce 3-phase voltages, and voltage is given by 4.44 Fn phi. That means it depends upon frequency, depends on number of turns, depends upon the flux, okay, and flux we know how we control, and frequency we know how to control, okay. Now so far we have assumed only one winding in each phase. We have taken two, just two conductors linking it, right. Now but in practice it is not so, right, and also we have assumed that the coil sides are displaced by 180 degrees, okay. Now let us say a next case where if they are not displaced by 180 degrees, right, I call it as short pitched coils, right. That means it is not 180 electrical degrees, but it is less than 180 electrical degrees, okay. So this is, if you have, let us say I got these conductors A1, A2, A3. Now A1, A2 are 180 degrees, that is full pitch coil. Now A1, A3 is less than 180, short pitched by an angle beta, right. It is not. So that means if I put A1 here, I put A2 here, this is a full pitch coil. But otherwise I can put A3 here, which is by an angle, this is not 180 degrees angle, it is 180 minus beta, right. So this angle subtending this will be 180, this angle is 180 minus beta, right. Is it clear how we put it in this one? Now if you bring out the terminals, 1 3 is a full pitch coil terminal, and 1 2 is a short pitch coil terminal, okay. Perhaps it would have been better if we had put the same thing as, because we have made this as 2. So 1 2 full pitch and 1 3 short pitch, okay. Let us see what happens here. Full pitch coil spans 180 degrees, short pitch coil spans less than 180 degrees electrical degrees, okay. This is not mechanical, and these are also called corded coils. This is a terminology, we call it corded coils, and we have shown that in this figure beta is the carding angle. That angle, a short pitch angle, is called a carding angle. What we have seen here, that is the angle by which it is short pitched other than 180 degrees. So what you notice here is, if you have a full pitch coil, if the voltage induced in this coil side is E1, this is E2, and you expect them to be in phase, right, because if you show E1 like this and E2 like this, it will be in phase. If you put E2 like this, it may be out of phase by 180 degrees, okay, because one is under north pole and the other under south pole, right. But if you have this one, it will not be in phase, it will be out of phase by an angle beta, because this coil side and this coil side will not have the same phase voltage, because they are sine waves. So we can show it typically like this. If it is full pitch, they will be in phase E1 and E2, and each will be magnitude is E. Magnitude of the coil, suppose if this has 10 volts across it, this will also be 10 volts, but they will be in phase. But you understand they are all AC, they are in phase. So you can show it like this. If you have this is in E1 and the same thing will be in E2. So, if you take this one, so E1 equal to E2, they are in phase. So, the total across the winding E1 2, okay, E1 2 would be twice E. This is the voltage. Now, if it is out of phase, what will happen? The other one will be phase shifted by a beta, let us say E3, that is whatever is in this coil side will be phase shifted by this by an angle beta. So, that will be somewhere here angle beta like this. So, this angle, therefore, your net voltage across the terminals will be E1 plus E3 like this, that is by an angle. This angle is beta, and if you do some geometrical construction and you add it, this will be beta by 2, this will be beta by 2, this will be an isosceles triangle, and this will be E and this will be E. Okay. So, you can all you have to find out is the third side of the triangle with one side is E, another side is E, and angle between this is beta by 2, and you can easily see if you take a center point here, this OC will be twice E cos beta by 2, isn't it? This angle, this side OC will be twice of this side is E, twice E cos beta by 2. Okay. So, we will sum up this pitch factor. We now define what is known as a pitch factor, that is A1 A2 is a full pitch coil, A1 A3 is the short pitch coil, as we have seen here, full pitch and short pitch. Okay. And E1, E2, E3 are voltage induced in these coil sides in A1, A2, A3. Okay. That is, we call it as E1, E2, E3. We have already seen in the last phasor diagram like this, E1, E2 and E3. Okay. And A1 in each of the coil sides, A1, A2, A3, and each of magnitude of each of the coil side is same as E, right, but they are phase shifted. And E1 2 is a voltage in full pitch coil is nothing but twice E, but E1 3 is a voltage in short pitch coil, which is we have seen is twice E into cos beta by 2. See, we have seen here twice E into cos beta by 2, right. Therefore, we know that the voltage in a full pitch coil and voltage in a short pitch coil, if you compare, which will be more? Full pitch coil is more. So, you will have a less voltage in a short pitch coil, and how much less it is, we define that as a factor called pitch factor. So, pitch factor we define as Kp is defined as the ratio of voltage in a short pitch coil to that in a full pitch coil, right. So, Kp is voltage in short pitch coil over voltage in full pitch coil. Okay. That is nothing but cos, Kp is nothing but cos beta by 2. We have seen that 2E cos beta by 2. Now, what will be the actual voltage now? In a full pitch coil, we have said it is nothing but 4.44 F and phi. So, this will be multiplied by a factor Kp. We call this as E is equal to 4.44 F into Kp into NSE into phi max volts per phase. So, this will be now the new voltage in a short pitch coil. This is the expression. Okay. Okay. Next, we will go a step further. Voltage in distributed full pitch winding. Full pitch, no doubt, it is not short pitch, but it is distributed. Okay. Next, we will take up distributed coil, and we can typically take This is the same A axis. Instead of one conductor, earlier it was having one conductor, let us say A dash. Now I will have more conductors. Let us take, for our understanding, we will take 3 conductors for symmetry. Okay. So I will call this as A1 dash, A2 dash, and A3 dash. Okay. And you will find that all are full pitch, means A1 dash is full pitch. Let us call it as coil A1, right. And similarly A2 dash, let us say coil A2, right. And third one A3 dash, coil A3. We have 3 coils. Earlier we only calculated voltage across each one is 4.44 FN5 for one coil. Now we have 3 coils, and these 3 coils can be connected in series. After all, you have 3 coils, and as shown here, A1 dash, A2 dash, A3 dash, and they are connected in series. So the voltage across this will be the E here. Now what do you expect these 3 voltages? Since they are displaced by some angle, and typically they are displaced by the slot angle, because they are in next slot. Therefore the angle between, space angle between them, what is the angle between this and this, will be alpha, and this is another alpha. This is this slot angle. Okay. Now when they are displaced by that angle, what will happen to the voltages? Will the voltages in all the 3 coils be in phase? They will not be in phase. They will be out of phase. How much out of phase? By an angle alpha, but that is what is the physical displacement between the 2 successive coils of a phase. Okay. So we expect it to be displaced by an angle alpha. So if this is the voltage in A1 coil, next is A2 coil, next is A3 coil, they are displaced by an angle alpha. They are, okay. There are 3 voltages at an angle alpha, and you can show it like this, because A1 dash voltage you are connected, then at the end of that coil you connect to A2, it goes through A2, then comes to A2 dash, and goes through A3 and comes through A3 dash and comes out as a terminal. Each phase will, let us say coil direction enters here, so there will be, how many turns will be there? Each one may, let us say NSE by 3, that is turns per coil. Well, if I say total turns in each phase is NSE, so that will be divided into 3 in this case. Right? They are identical coils, so that is how we go through this. Okay, and the voltages are in series, so you add up. So let us say this is one EA1, EA2, EA3. Is it okay? There are 3 voltages, but they are shifted by an angle alpha. Okay. Now what is the resultant voltage is AD. So AB is the voltage across E1, that is the coil A1. Let us say BC is EA2 as is shown here, and CD is EA3. What is the net voltage here? Is vectorial sum, which is AD. E is nothing but that phasor AD, their vectorial sum. So you have to, these are again identical equal voltages. So to find out this, what you do is you take a perpendicular bisector for each of these phases and they will all join at O, okay, and you will do a calculation, simple calculation like this. If you do like, if I use the same thing, magnitude of AB is same as magnitude of BC is same as magnitude of CD, and in terms of this side OA, what will be the magnitude? If this is angle is alpha, please tell what is the magnitude? Is twice sin alpha by 2. Therefore, this is equal to twice OA sin alpha by 2. Okay. And what is AD? Twice OA sin 3 alpha by 2. Okay. Now, why we get 3 is the number of slots per pole per phase. 3 we define slots per pole per phase. Let us call it as M. It could be, here it is 3, it could be general M. Therefore, if it were concentrated coil, it would all put together, it will become M times this, right? Concentrated, if it is concentrated, all of them in put one slots, if it is concentrated, it will be M times AB, which is same as this. It is twice M OA sin alpha by 2. Now, if it is distributed, it will be twice OA sin M alpha by 2. Okay. If we define that voltage distributed over voltage concentrated, we will call it as KD. Now, what will be the ratio? That twice OA will get cancelled. It will be sin, distributed is sin M alpha by 2 over M sin alpha by 2. Isn't it? I mean, from this simple geometrical manipulation, you can easily see that distribution factor is given by sin M alpha by 2 or M sin alpha by 2. So, that is depends upon the slot angle alpha and the number of slots per pole per phase, that is M. Okay. So, we have, this will be the factor that we have to include while calculating the voltage in a distributed winding. So, we will have the resultant voltage, that will be EA1, EA2, EA3 are voltage in the 3 coils phase shifted by an angle alpha, each of magnitude let us say EA, and we find that the resultant voltage is vector sum of the above, and voltage in concentrated winding is 3 times EA in this case, because we have 3 slots. So, we have now come to the quickly come to the factor, a distribution factor. It is the ratio of voltage in distributed winding to that in concentrated winding. Okay. If you distribute, what is the voltage? If you concentrate, put them together, what is the voltage? And that ratio we call it as KD, and KD is sin M alpha by 2 over M sin alpha by 2. So, now what will be the voltage now in a distributed winding? Will be E equal to 4.44 F into KD into NSE. Now, that factor has to be incorporated in the voltage expression, KD into NSE into 5 max voltage per phase. So, this will be the voltage in a distributed winding. So, we have seen voltage in a concentrated full pitch winding, voltage in a concentrated distributed winding, and also voltage in short pitched concentrated winding. Supposing they are both distributed and chorded, that is also possible, right? It is not. So, then what will happen? This will be the It is a simple expression, will take a minute. Voltage in corded and distributed winding will be, here both factors Kp and Kd will come to picture. So, E will be 4.4 F into Kp Kd into Nsc into phi max, and defining winding factor, we call it as a winding factor as Kw, which is Kp Kd. Product of Kp and Kd is also called Kw, or the winding factor. E is 4.5 F into Kw Nsc into phi max. So, this will be the final expression for the synchronous machine voltage per phase, that is Kw Nsc is called as effective series turns per phase. So, this is now with this today we have understood the voltage generation in a 3-phase synchronous generator with concentrated, distributed and short corded machines, and next we will take up further on the voltage generation in the next lecture.